Okay, so let's begin our today's lesson. Today our topic is about electromagnetic waves. Okay, and then I think it's a very shortest part in this slide. Okay, so let's move to the first part, and here you can find here it's called the electromagnetic spectrum. Okay, so we have already talked about the properties of different kinds of electromagnetic waves, and for the spectrum, we can find that for different wavelengths and different frequency, here are different waves, and you can find here at a very long wavelength, and here we have radio waves. And then for infrared, ultraviolet, and X-rays and gamma rays, right? And we said how to remember it, right? Like using the properties and using their usages, we can remember them very easily. So we said that for wavelength is very small, the wave can easily penetrate many other things, right? Like gamma rays, because the wavelength is very short. So that means that like the wise is very short. So it can very easy to penetrate some gap like this, okay? And once it penetrates, and you can find there are diffraction out of this, right? Like this, like we have said before. So this ability for penetration can use many things. Like for gamma rays, we said that it's very easily to use in our medical uses, right? And X-rays, it can penetrate your body, but it cannot penetrate your bones. So the penetration ability is like less than the gamma rays, right? For ultraviolet, we can find sometimes we use it to detect the banknotes, right? And also we use it to detect like in the criminal places, and you'll find who is who like leaves some hint for you to detect. Okay, and the policeman and also will use ultraviolet rays to scan the room. Okay, so that all means that ultraviolet can have a penetration ability and to reflect back and gives out some hints of some invisible things. Okay. And for light rays, because we knew that from wavelengths, from long wavelengths to short wavelengths, is from red to ultraviolet. So ultraviolet then goes to visible light. And then the next part is next sharp is infrared, right? And after that, the radio waves, because the radio waves is very big, so that it cannot penetrate anything, but it can just travel through and maybe can make a cross, and it can then travel through in the city. Okay, so once it facing the buildings like skyscrapers in the city, and it can just passing by the city. Okay, so we can hear very clearly. For example, if we are using gamma rays or X-rays to traveling information, that the efficiency and the power will have a great loss. Okay, so for here we said that radio waves have this thing. Okay. And here are two properties for radio waves and microwaves. Okay, and we knew that radio waves can transfer energy and it can take some signals with it, and we can receive anywhere, any places in the city. Okay, and for here we can say that for the satellite we use in microwaves to take the energy, and we use it to make a connection with satellite. Okay. And for microwaves, there's another usage. Like here, you can find the microwaves, right? And you can use it to heat up the food. Maybe you have some questions. So sometimes we cannot heat the food in the center, right? Sometimes we can only heat the surface of the food. It's because microwaves principle is just using the reflection of the rays, like to here, to run displays. So it can only touch the surface of the food, cannot reach into the food. Okay. So we can say right here, we can only heat the surface. Sometimes we cannot heat the center. Okay. It's always also because microwave wavelength is very big, so the penetration ability is very small. That means, oh, it's very hard to penetrate it. Okay. So here, also for infrared rays and ultraviolet rays, okay, they're very easily appeared in the cell, right? So for infrared rays, it's very easy to make our sunburned, right? And for light ray, ultraviolet rays, you will find is like make our maybe cells be damaged, or sometimes if you're long time exposed in the ultraviolet rays, maybe you'll have the cancer. Okay, so it's very dangerous for you to many times you stay in the ultraviolet rays. Okay. But remember that ultraviolet rays and infrared rays, they are both invisible. So maybe sometimes you'll see the ultraviolet rays for killing the bacteria. That they're not the real purple rays. They're just we added a kind of purple rays inside of this. So it seems to be purple. Okay. But the real the pure ultraviolet rays, we cannot see them directly. Okay. This is for infrared radiation and ultraviolet radiation. And here's the exercise you can see here. And the first problem is to say that which region for electromagnetic spectrum is used for detecting the fake banknotes, right? And you can say that for detecting the fake banknotes, and that we can using the ultraviolet rays, right? So here we can choosing C, right? Because ultraviolet rays can see some places we cannot see directly, right? And second question you can see here, which way is used in the medical scanning for the tissue? Okay. So maybe here for medical scanning, it's just a scan. It just doesn't like a penetrate ability. Okay. So for medical scanning, we can say that here it just want to scan the surface. So for these ones, we are using ultrasound. So for gamma rays, infrared, and microwaves, some wavelengths are very big. Some infrared also a very big wavelength. It cannot penetrate the body. Okay, it cannot scan in the soft tissue. But for ultrasound, we just want to detecting the shape of the soft tissue. So like here, here's the surface, and then we have ultrasound on this, and then it reflect back. And we have already said that we are using detecting the echoes, detecting the time taken to find the true distance between the source and the surface. Okay, so here's for ultrasound. Okay, so finally we're choosing D. Okay. Okay, so here's our today's lesson. I guess you have already understanding for all of this, and I hope you can learn better in the future and to really understanding for the usages of the electromagnetic waves. Okay, see you next time. Bye.